Hello everyone, I am back with another video, and this is again a rookie tutorial about how to do something competitive. I'm also still testing out my software. This is the OBS software, and last night we had another attempt at recording a game using the software. We failed again. Um, I'm apparently having some sound issues, so um, we're going to continue trying. At some point, it will actually happen that we're recording games, but so far, no such luck. Um, so while we're waiting for that, I have made another PowerPoint, and let me just check out if everything is where it should be. So, right, I am at the right place. There we go. It was a question of where my face would end up. Right, here we go. So, another bolt action tutorial, and this one is, sorry, that wasn't it. There we go, there it is. This is for competitive frats. So I'm working my way through the big ones, and as usual, I am only looking at this from a competitive standpoint. Um, not This is not theme. I'm not even caring about early and late war. I don't care, even though all France more or less is early war. Um, my own expertise with the French is we've been playing French at my club. Um, we've been working with French in the Danish national team, and um, my team's best list builder, Benny, owns a large French collection, and we've been using them as an opponent army mostly. So I haven't played them myself, but I've played against them quite a lot. And I've also seen some of the top players of Europe play the French, and so I sort of know what they can do. Um, Although I still think there are more things to explore with the French. So competitive advantages. The French are blessed in that they get the free unit. Um, most armies that get something for free will be considered competitive by top players, especially if you at the same time can sort of build what you want to your playstyle. And with the French, you're pretty limited in what that free unit does because it's a howitzer. So um, it sort of encourages certain builds with French armies because of that howitzer. Um, Not that they're bad as such, they are not, but it does encourage certain playstyles, certain players to gravitate towards the French. They also have a fairly good infantry selection. It's not as big as some of the major powers, um, but it is fairly good. There are some pretty good choices there, and very much early war choices. So, and they also have a fairly good armored selection, encompassing both the armored cars, the tanks, and some of their transports. Um, so pretty good. There are some pretty good choices here. Competitive disadvantages. They lack AT. The French are an early war army, so they struggle against 8 plus, 9 plus, 10 plus tanks. They don't really have any anti-tank capabilities as such. And that is a problem that you're going to have to deal with if you're going to run French. You're going to have to figure out a way to do that. There are some possibilities of things to do in the tank selection and the armored car selection, but you're limited to that. You're not going to have any anti-tank capability on your infantry unless you're buying anti-tank grenades, which on one or two units I might consider. They're also pretty clearly early war equipment in what they have, the gear they have that special thing where some of their infantry can be equipped with pistols, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Um, but they lack access to SMGs. They lack access to yeah, better late war tanks, flamethrowers, all that jazz. Um, they do have a lot of rifles, and they have LMGs, and they also have access to grenade launchers, the VB launchers, which is kind of good early war equipment, but it doesn't have the punch that some late war equipment does. They're also pretty limited to early war tanks, which are uh, low armored, although the French early war tanks are pretty well armored, considering that they are early war tanks. Um, and their national special rules are not that great. They don't really have anything that benefit their playstyle or like so. What army builds do I see? What can you build? Well, of course, you can build a mixed bag. You can do that with most armies. You can also go and build pseudo tank lists with this, and that is maybe especially because in the transport selection you don't have the universal carrier of some armies, but you do have the baronet, um, baronet, Berry, Barillet. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm not really good at French at all. Um, and that is a closed-top armored vehicle. So it's basically the only one of the game, I think. And that is pretty good, having a transport that's closed-top and armored, so immune to small arms fire. Very good. It only has an LMG, but hey, can't get it all. But the build that the French army really encourages is the gunline build. In a single French platoon, you can have 3 um, stationary HE and 1 mounted on a tank. So that's 4 howitzers or mortar shots each turn for a single platoon. That is very, very strong. So you can run very effective gunline armies, and you typically see this done every single time with the French. That's their bread and butter. They are a gunline army. And you typically see this combined with a horde. The French have some access to some nice, cheap, very big units. Some of them inexperienced, where they can be really big. The cadets, for instance, can be 20-man units, which 20 men inexperienced, that's a huge mob of infantry. You can also do motorized infantry, especially because of the baronet thing, that transport I talked about before. That really encourages motorized infantry, simply because it can stay in those, and you can sort of run it up. However, since you don't have access to that many SMGs and flamethrowers, it's not that good a build. You can build assault list-ish, and that's because you have access to Tough Fighter, pretty easy access to Tough Fighter in the Senegalese and the Moroccan colonial troops. But these troops, most of the time, they will be regulars, and they will not have any special rules that benefit them. Although you can get some of them as cavalry, but then it turns more into a cavalry build, not an assault list build. So they're not really assault lists, although I have faced French players who tried to build them and use them as assault lists. They got killed. You can build cavalry lists. The French have access to regular cavalry, they have access to veteran cavalry, and they have access to um, camel cavalry in their colonial troops. So you can have quite a lot of cavalry, but again, since you don't have anything that's especially good, this cavalry turns into skirmish cavalry, and it's not the best. So, and finally, you can have MSU. The The French can actually do MSU. They have very small units that can do that. However, you lack something to support that MSU with, some sort of punch packed in a small package, which is typical of late war equipment. So the MSU lists for France are not the most efficient, simply because they lack something to pour all those order dice into. For me, the standout units is of course the free howitzer. Amazing. It's really, really good. The French, the Belgians, and some of the Eastern European states get a free howitzer, and they are brilliant. Also, the colonial troops are pretty good. I wish I could get some sort of special rules to benefit them, but they are pretty good as they are. Although you shouldn't expect them to win all the fights. They're not close combat specialists like Polish Lancers or Gurkhas or Japanese veterans or bamboo spears. They are not close combat specialists. They are a multi-purpose unit that can both skirmish and fight in close combat. Then some of the new additions, the intelligence squad, the French early war intelligence squad. If you can get access to that, that is a brilliant unit because that manipulates the dice back, which is really, really good. Making sure you get that first order dice the turn you need it. Really strong. The Navy Mazalot Shirkers, really good for when you're building MSUs. Otherwise, I wouldn't use them. But that is what they're there for. The cadets, the officer cadets, really, really an interesting build you can do with a horde of officer cadets, because you get them in 29 units that can really be strong. So, bodies on the table, right? And then, of course, I've already talked about this, the access to BB launchers is an interesting little thing that you can do where you're paying the points for it, but you get a light mortar, and you can get quite a lot of light mortars if you put BB launchers in all your infantry units. So that can be an interesting build. I haven't seen it done well and work well yet, but I think there is something there. The Belliette, brilliant, very, very good. Maybe the best transport of the game. It would be even better had it got more of assaulty type, flamethrower type, SMG type units to transport. It would be even better. And then the early war motorcycles. These are really good because you can get 3 of them. So I would expect most, if not all, French armies to take 3 early war motorcycles. They are, in my opinion, the absolute best and cheapest way to get armored cars selections done. They are a threat, they're an annoyance, they're a distraction, they're very good. So, that was it. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you want to see next. I was thinking about maybe doing Italians, although they are not very competitive. But let me know in the comments what you want to see, and I will see you next time. Bye.